What if I told you that in ancient Rome, a slave could become a full citizen? Not after a lifetime, not after their master died, but sometimes in as little as 6 years. They could vote, own property, and even have children. Now pause for a second, because if that sounds impossible, that's exactly why this story matters. When people talk about slavery in the ancient world, Rome is usually painted as the villain that invented cruelty. But the truth is way more uncomfortable and way more surprising, because Rome didn't just use slaves, Rome absorbed them. And once you see how that system really worked, you'll never look at the Roman Empire the same way again. Here's the part nobody tells you. Slavery existed everywhere in the ancient world. Egypt had it, Persia had it, Greece had it, and in most places, slavery was a dead end. Once you were a slave, that was it. Your children were slaves, their children were slaves. Your bloodline was trapped forever. But Rome broke that rule. In Rome, slavery wasn't always permanent. It wasn't automatically passed down to your children. And for some slaves, it came with a strange promise hiding in the background. Serve well, and one day you might walk out free. That idea alone shocked the ancient world. The Greeks especially hated it. Greek writers complained that Rome was flooding itself with former slaves. They said freed slaves were dangerous, immoral, and unfit to be citizens. One historian even warned that Rome was filling up with people who made money through crime and shameful work. And here's the wild part. The complaints worked. Roman emperors actually passed laws to slow down how many slaves could be freed, because too many people were doing it. So how did this even work? How did a person go from being owned to being Roman? First, let's clear something up. Freedom in Rome wasn't random kindness. It was structured, organized, almost bureaucratic. There were official paths out of slavery, and everyone knew them. One way was through a public ceremony. Your master, a Roman official, and witnesses would gather. A small rod would touch you, yes, literally a freedom stick. Words were spoken, and just like that, your legal status changed. You weren't just free, you were a freedman. Another common way was death. Not yours, your master's. Roman owners often freed slaves in their wills. This became so common that the government stepped in and said, enough. They passed laws limiting how many slaves someone could free when they died. That should tell you something. If lawmakers are trying to cap freedom, it means freedom was happening a lot. But there's a third part most people don't expect. Slaves in Rome could save money. Yes, actual money. Romans allowed slaves to hold something called a personal fund. It wasn't legally theirs, but everyone treated it like it was. Slaves worked extra jobs, managed businesses, ran shops, handled finances, and when that fund became large enough, they could buy themselves. Some slaves even owned other slaves. Let that sink in for a second. A slave owning a slave. That's how strange and layered the Roman system was. But before you start thinking Rome was humane, here's the darker side. Freedom wasn't always kindness. Some masters freed old slaves so they didn't have to feed them anymore. Others freed slaves who knew dangerous secrets, because Romans could torture slaves for information, but not citizens. Freedom could protect the master just as much as the slave. So how often did slaves actually get out? Was this just rare propaganda? The numbers say otherwise. Rome taxed manumission, the act of freeing a slave, at 5%. And from those tax records, historians can estimate how common it was. Even before Rome became a massive empire, over 1,000 slaves were being freed every single year. Gravestone inscriptions tell an even crazier story. When historians studied people of slave origin who died young, more than half were already free. For those who lived past 30, almost 9 out of 10 had been freed. At first glance, it looks like slavery in Rome almost had an expiration date. But here's the catch. These inscriptions were expensive. Poor slaves couldn't afford them, and almost all of them came from cities, which means we're mostly seeing the stories of household slaves, cooks, accountants, tutors, assistants. Farm slaves, field workers, the ones breaking their backs in the countryside, they rarely got freed. They had no money, no access, no chance. So the freedom system was real, but it was selective. Still, even critics agree on one thing. If you were a loyal household slave in ancient Rome, you could realistically expect freedom after about 6 years. How do we know that number? Because a Roman politician once insulted his enemies by saying the Senate had suffered slavery longer than hardworking slaves usually did. That insult only makes sense if everyone listening already believed 6 years was normal. But freedom didn't mean total independence. Not really. When a slave was freed, they didn't disappear from their master's life. The relationship just changed. Your former owner became your patron. You became their client. You owed loyalty, public support, and respect. In return, they helped you survive. Money, food, business loans, and connections. This is where Rome got clever. Elite Romans weren't supposed to run businesses. It was seen as low class. So who ran their workshops, trade networks, and money systems? Their freed slaves. The aristocrats stayed honorable. The freedmen made the money. Everyone benefited. Freeing slaves even became a status symbol. Keeping slaves too long made you look cheap. One Roman writer mocked a rival for holding on to old servants instead of freeing them and replacing them with younger ones. Generosity wasn't just moral, it was fashionable. But not everyone qualified. If a slave had been branded, tortured, badly punished, or forced into gladiator combat, the door was closed. Even if freed, they could never become citizens. Rome drew a hard line. Trust mattered, reputation mattered, your past followed you. But for those who stayed clean, the path was clear. Serve, wait, earn freedom, become Roman. So here's the truth most history classes skip. Roman slavery was brutal, violent, exploitative, but it wasn't designed to trap everyone forever. For a specific group, it offered a way out, a way up, a way to turn outsiders into insiders. That's what scared the Greeks. Rome wasn't just conquering land, it was creating citizens, from the bottom of society, upward. No other ancient empire did that at this scale. And that uncomfortable truth is part of why Rome lasted as long as it did. History isn't clean, it isn't simple, and it's rarely what they taught you in school. If this changed how you see ancient Rome, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends and family. Now tell me, what shocked you the most? The 6-year path to freedom? The money system? Or slaves owning other slaves? And if you want more history that changes the way you see the past, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications, because next time we'll talk about what really happened to gladiators who won their freedom and how Hollywood got almost everything wrong. See you in the next one.